Say hello to the facelift version of the GWM Haval H6 Hybrid. I'm going to be taking you all around the vehicle, inside the vehicle, and taking it for a drive and giving my thoughts along the way. What stands out first has to be the redesigned front end. Everything under the headlights have been redesigned. First, you have a different grille to the front. You also now have vertical daytime running lights on either side of the front bumper. This is different to how the daytime running lights were built into the headlight assembly before. And even the lower end in the corner, they move the lights that we normally call fog lights, and they just have a clean, flush finish. And while I do prefer the grille of the pre-facelift H6, I do love these new vertical daytime running lights. I love how they are independently segmented. You have a thick line on the outer side on both sides, and then the inner ones are slightly longer, but also slightly thinner. It adds a bit of depth to what are essentially just lights, because that is what daytime running lights are. Everything else remains the same in terms of the placement. You have your front parking sensors. You have your radar assembly download just under the number plate. On the side, you have your power folding mirrors with your turn signal repeaters. You have blacked out wheels as standard with 225, 55, 19-inch wheels. You have 175 millimeters of ground clearance, so ample ground clearance to get over most things. At the rear, you have a redesigned rear taillight assembly. No longer is there a bar going across the entire back of the tailgate. It's now two independent lighting assemblies with the GWM replacing the Haval logo up there. You also have a rear-facing fog light. I'm not sure how often you'll be using it in our market, but it's good to have that added visibility at the rear to let folks know don't run into the back of you. You also have hidden rear exhaust with a rear diffuser and your rear-facing camera. So 4 cameras in all. Front camera, side cameras, rear camera, part of a 360 system. You have your H6 badging on the left, GWM up top, and your HEV badging to the right to let people know that this is a hybrid vehicle. And obviously you have a powered tailgate which you can open using the key fob, the button on the tailgate itself, or by passing your foot underneath the vehicle at the rear. You have 560 liters of space with the rear seats up, which goes up to 1485 liters with the rear seats folded down. Now this trunk could have been bigger, but the hybrid components are housed underneath this floor in here. When you raise it up, you will see things like your battery and other hybrid components, which is going to take up some of your trunk space. Otherwise, it could have been deeper, but it's long. So you have the full width and the length, but not as much depth as you would find in a vehicle that doesn't have its hybrid components stored at the back. You do get one 12-volt power outlet at the rear and a bright LED light. If you want a bit of separation, you have this divider here that works like all others do. You pull it, lock it into its groove, and to retract it, you pull it again and release, and it retracts back into its holding canister. Stepping into the rear is very familiar. You have hard plastic on top here. Then you have in the center, like I'm touching now, soft touch materials where your elbows will go on the door. Soft touch materials, premium feeling. Even when you step into the actual cabin, just like the pre-facelift H6, you have a premium feeling big cabin. It's a large vehicle compared to smaller SUVs on the market, so you have lots of space. Plus, they listen to feedback. The previous generation didn't have USB-C at the rear. This generation has USB-C and a regular type USB at the rear with your rear AC vents. So thumbs up for listening to feedback. Lastly, at the rear, you do get reading lights left and right in between the handles. Up front, there were some changes as well. Notably, you now have a 14.6-inch infotainment screen. This screen is large, very, very, very large. It's almost double the size of the one that came before it. But you also have another notable difference. If you look closely, you would observe the cleaner layout of the center console. You now only have 6 buttons here, most of which are AC controls. You have 2 cup holders, a wireless charging pad, and a pocket. But what is missing? Your gear shifter. They moved the dial that the pre-facelift H6 had, and they moved the gear shifter to the steering column, which is on the side where most Asian vehicles had their indicator stalk. But the indicator stalk has now moved from the right-hand side over to the left-hand side, which to me is where my issue kind of starts, because the indicator stalk is now built in to the wiper stalk. I can hear the question you're asking. If the gear shifter is now on the right and the indicator and wiper are now integrated into one stalk, where are your headlight controls? Well, in the interest of modernity, you're looking at it. Your headlight controls are now in a sub-menu in your infotainment. Now, as you see, there is a auto feature. You put that on and you don't have to worry. It will come on when it's dark, come off when it's light. But sometimes as a driver, you want lights when you want lights. Granted, you still have access to a high beam using the indicator stroke. You pull forward, the high beam comes on, you let it go, the high beam comes off. But the headlights and the daytime running lights are now housed in here, along with your electronic parking brake, aka your handbrake. That's also a menu in your infotainment screen. It's a cleaner design, and there is an auto feature where the parking brake will engage automatically, but it takes away some control from the driver. Sometimes you want it when you want it, not when the vehicle thinks you want it. So even though I like this clean, modern design where there's no clutter here, I still think they could have fit a handbrake button here and not have it cluttered. You also do have a center console, like most vehicles do. It's somewhat relatively deep. It's not too deep, but it's deep enough. You still have a split level center console with a space in the middle. You have a power outlet and a USB on the right hand side. The driver's side and the passenger side seats are both heated and ventilated and powered, and you also do get the memory feature. On the left hand side, you have a single USB port. None of these ports you may ever have to use anyway because the Facelift H6 has wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and wireless charging, so you don't have to plug any wires in anywhere. In terms of safety, you have a total of 7 airbags throughout the cabin, which includes 2 front airbags, front side airbags, a center airbag, and curtain airbags. You also have a total of 9 speakers scattered throughout the cabin, so your music should sound crisp. And we can't forget this giant glass roof that spans from the back all the way to the front. Now, if you have ever driven, tested, or used a GWM product before, it's more of the same in terms of the infotainment. Everything is well laid out, smooth, no lag, cool animations. It's a joy to use, especially on this large 16-inch screen. Usually, I would go more in depth with the infotainment screen, but on this day, the sun was set to max brightness, so I couldn't get a good angle to record the screen, hence all the reflections and stuff. And the thing about it is, in the real world, when you're looking at it with your eyes, you are not seeing the reflections as too distracting. You are seeing it clearly. But on camera, all the reflections are popping up. I think in the next generation, they need to put an anti-glare coating on the screen, especially with a screen this big. For your 360 camera, you have all the options. You can turn left, right. You can use these touch points here. You can make the vehicle invisible completely or transparent, where you can still see the wheels and the outline of the vehicle while using your fingers to look around the H6. You also have the attention to detail, where you can see your bulbs illuminate on a 360 camera. So if you have a blown bulb, you don't have to ask somebody if the bulb is blown. You can see it from within the vehicle. With the H6, you also have your intelligent parking features, one of which is the ability to find a parking spot and park itself, and the other is what they call reverse tracking. The vehicle always keeps a memory of its last 50 meters or 164 feet in forward movement, and at any moment you can push that and it will return to where it was prior to driving forward.
Please keep pressing. Please release brake. Assist system is on. Please pay attention to the surrounding and be ready to brake at any time.
In this example, I didn't go far. I just moved from one side to the next side of the parking lot, but it's still finding its way back to where it was initially parked before I moved it.
About to arrive at destination.
And I'm not sure if it's using GPS or what to find where it was previously parked, but it's actually turning to find back the exact position it was in.
Arrived at destination. Please take control of your car.
Just in case you found yourself down a narrow dirt road and you can't turn around, the vehicle can get you out of it. One last change they made on the inside is that the steering wheel is a bit thicker now. Apparently, people somewhere complained that the steering wheel on the pre-facelift H6 was a bit too thin, so they made it a bit chunky so you can hold on to something better now. Now, let's take a look at what's under the hood. It's the same 1.5 litre turbocharged engine from the pre-facelift H6, which isn't a bad thing because that hybrid setup was plenty powerful for this vehicle. The combined output of this setup between the engine and the hybrid component is 179 kilowatts of power and 530 Newton meters of torque. But let's take the H6 out into the road as we talk about it some more. The fuel tank size is between 54 and 61 liters, and I'm saying between because I'm getting different figures from different sites. Some say it's 54 liters, some say it's 61 liters, so I'm thinking it's region specific. But the record for the longest distance driven on a single tank of gas was 1,242. So they are rating it as that. However, your mileage most definitely would vary. So I'm going to say aim for about 800 kilometers with reasonable driving on a single tank of gas. And these calculations that I'm giving you are based on the 54-liter tank, which is the one I think we have over here, not the 61-liter tank. So you're not going to be filling up 54 liters because you're always going to have some gas in your tank even on E. So I'm going to say aim for about 50 liters with 4 liters in the tank when you're filling up. And with that, you can expect around 850 kilometers on a single tank, depending on how you drive. Now, in terms of power, you do have 240 horsepower, which is combined engine and hybrid component, along with 530 Newton meters at your disposal. So you never really feel bogged down or cumbersome, especially from a standstill, because that is where the hybrid component is at its most powerful. When you're pulling off the line, you get your full 240 horsepower and 500 Newton meters. At somewhere around 95 kilometers an hour, the handover takes place, where the hybrid component takes a back seat and the engine is now in charge of propelling the vehicle forward. But even then, that's not to say it's a slouch. You just get down on the accelerator pedal ever so slightly and the H6 just shoots forward. It's a big vehicle, but it has the power to pull its weight. In terms of safety, you have your whole GWM safety suite here. But let's touch on the emergency braking first. There's a certain part in the review where I was pulling off from a standstill and I wanted to catch up to the camera car quickly, and the emergency brake kicked in and slowed me down. And you got the brakes in plane, boy. Which means if you run into the back of anyone, two things are at play here. Either natural selection is out to get you personally, or you're just real bad lucky. Because the brakes do prevent you from running into the back of vehicles, even though I wasn't going to run into the back of the vehicle, obviously. But to the car's computer, that sudden acceleration for the speed of traffic in front was unnecessary and it slowed me down. But let's run through the safety features. And this is a part of the video I never look forward to because they keep adding more stuff. Every time I review a vehicle from GWM, they add something new. For example, we have front seat pre-tensioner plus load limiter plus CLT. After consulting the internet quickly, the load limiter in the seatbelt is essentially a safety feature for the safety feature that is the seatbelt. So, in the unlikely event of a collision, hopefully, instead of the seatbelt just locking and all your body weight just jamming against the seatbelt, it will lessen the load a bit, maybe release a bit or release slowly, so you don't just go ramming into the seatbelt. At the rear, you also have pre-tensioning seatbelts with the load limiter, but only the outer side. The center passenger has the regular seatbelts that are going to hold you in place. You have electronic stability control, traction control, secondary collision mitigation, electronic park and brake, integrated brake control, dynamic steering, roll movement intervention, brake assist, hill descent control, hill start assist, brake override system, tire pressure monitoring, front parking sensors, rear parking sensors, a 360 camera with the transparency mode. You have a USB up by the rear view camera to plug in a dash cam. Yes, that is part of your safety features as well. You have your auto parking assist, your adaptive cruise control, intelligent cruise control, traffic jam assist, intelligent dodge, emergency lane keep, rear cross traffic alert, rear cross traffic braking, forward collision warning, lane departure warning, lane keeper assist, lane center keeping, automatic emergency braking pedestrian, bicycle and crossroads, traffic sign recognition, blind spot monitoring, lane change assist, blind spot monitoring with your lane change assist, so they work hand in hand, collision warning, door open warning, indirect driver fatigue monitoring system, and your ISOFIX mounting points. See what I said? They just add everything and then add one more thing in the next model. In terms of pricing, it comes in at the same price as the outgoing model. They didn't add 150,000 because the shape is different. Same price. You have the warranty on the screen now. If you're in the hunt for a new vehicle, go take a test drive, see if you like it.